My name is Carolyn Delaney. I'm the founder and CEO here at Journey Enterprises. We're a media company on a mission to make recovery from addiction visible because it's important. It saves lives. There are over 26 million of us in recovery, and we want those who are still sick and suffering to know that there's a path for them. There's millions of us here on the other side of active addiction, and that it's probable that people can and do recover. Our videos share personal, intimate stories of what people's journeys were like, going from what it was like to what happened to what it's like now, in an effort to let people know that we're here, we care, and that there's a way out. Visible recovery saves lives, and we want the world to know that. So if you have a story about recovery and would like to share it, please contact me, Carolyn at recovery-journey.com. I hope you enjoy our videos. Have a great day.
My name is April Caricchio, and I'm from South Portland. I'm 57, and I identify with alcoholism, substance use disorder. So I am a child of alcoholics, and I think that's a big piece to start out in that situation. I think that for me, that was like what I was born into, and that's all that I knew and all the dysfunction that came with it. So I ended up in state custody and in and out of different foster homes. And so I went through a lot of different types of abuse and a lot of different homes. And I went to a party and they were drinking and smoking pot. And that was my first experience. And it was for me, the best thing that had happened to me for a long time. So I ended up moving to Maine, which was a huge blessing. I grew up in Worcester, Mass. I moved in with my mother, who was an active alcoholic. And so we were both active during that time. And she also had a major mental illness, and at that time AM High and BAM High were open. She spent a lot of time in those kind of institutions, but then she ended up at Crossroads, and she did get sober at Crossroads eventually. And so I was 16 and I would drop in at Milestone, and I think that I knew that I was an alcoholic, but I thought, I know I'm an alcoholic, but I'm not that bad. I ended up being emancipated. I ended up out on the streets. I took a crack at college. I dropped out. I ended up going to California. I was, immediately met the biggest drug dealers I could get myself involved in. I was running drugs across the border. I was, passing out in Tijuana bars on the floor. I think I was, 19 at the time, and was really lucky to make it home. I spent about 6 months just in a really heavy depression, trying to get clean on my own. I kind of limped my way back to college, and that's where I got involved with my first recovery community. And that was, that was a really good time for me. Ending college had that downside because then I kind of lost that community. Think about how different it was then, because we didn't have cell phones. We couldn't connect online. And so we did lose touch. And I did still go to meetings. And at that time, my experience in 12-step programs was that I can't say the name. This is a particular 12-step, and we only deal with that. And we don't deal with your trauma and we don't want to hear that, these excuses and these outside issues. I raised my children and pushed forward and did what I felt that that was the best path forward. I couldn't maintain that with the level of mental illness that I was experiencing. My marriage fell apart. And I ended up using again. Once I started cranking up, I was just so sick. I did a lot of drugs. I did a lot of drinking. I did a lot of chasing, just looking for relief and trying to self-medicate. I started to find myself in intensive outpatient programs. I ended up with a case manager that would come to the home. And those are all really good things because being authentic was such a challenge for me. It was such a high risk thing for me to do throughout my life. So to watch other people in those groups was very, very helpful. The community is so important to be able to see someone else take those risks. I was older and I was pretty broken. I was angry. I was a chain smoker at that time, so I finally met some people in that program that were willing to kind of take me on. And at the same time, I got a lot of help with my mental health, and that was huge. I did need medication, and I needed a fair amount of medication. I did a lot of EMDR. I did a lot of DBT groups, and I just started to be okay. So, and I did all that with my 3 children. I was divorced by that time, and I had my kid. I was about to lose everything. I was completely unemployable. Now I feel really good about where I am today, and I feel like really grateful, even in the middle of, this mess. I don't wallow in it, and acceptance is so important to me, and gratitude is such an important tool. So I used to be huge with my routine and my practice, and now it's more of an organic thing. Recognizing how fortunate I am to be in this place during this pandemic. At almost any other point in my life, if I had been, dealing with this pandemic, I would have been far less equipped. I can provide for the people in my life, and I feel really grateful for that. DBT was first, and I had gone to an individual counselor, off and on different counselors, and this particular counselor was running a group and asked me if I'd like to be involved. So I did join that group, and it was really great. That was a really great experience. EMDR was for managing trauma. It's brain processing, and so it was done with some handheld and some little bzz, bzz things on your head that you can feel that. So it helps your brain to process information. When you have trauma, that event is never filed away in your brain. So that EMDR helps your brain to sort and find a place for these memories to go, that it can be stored so you can access it as you want to, instead of having it just constantly hijacking you. I like to do a lot of volunteer activities, and I'm a city councilor, and I'm working right now on trying to get services closer to the people that need the services, so that, I know services is a really big problem right now for people to access. That feels like really good to me. I'm constantly lobbying for the community. And then I have my friends in recovery as well. I have contact with my family, and I do love my family. To be able to sit, in a public space and say, this is what recovery looks like for me. You guys see me up here, you people see me up here every week, and you watch me learn and you watch me follow my face. But this is this is an option for somebody in recovery. I would say don't walk away from recovery, no matter where you are in your journey. And there are so many people. I had to talk to so many different people and walk into so many different spaces before I felt safe. Don't walk away regardless of what other people do or how you feel in that moment. There are people out there that will help you, and just keep on reaching out, because people are definitely here on the other side. Some people will judge people, but there's a lot of people out here who are not going to judge somebody based on where they are, and they're going to accept you just for who you are. And I'm definitely one of them.
My name is Anthony, and today is December 10th, 2021, and I'm going to share my experience, strength, and hope with individuals in the basic format of what it was like, what happened, and what it's like now. I can honestly say completely openly that I am an alcoholic. I am a drug addict. I'm anything. I would put anything in my body to change how I feel. What it was like, I come from a less than favorable background, an abused background, single mom, no dad around, learned how to drink at an early age, discovered my mom's gin when I was probably 10 underneath the kitchen sink, start drinking that, substituting it with water. Always tell people I don't know how she got drunk, but I sure did. And so that started my career. Early on, I discovered that what marijuana was. And actually, my marijuana story is that the first time I ever got high on anything I smoked was a Lipton tea bag, because I thought it smelled like marijuana. And then I discovered real marijuana and started experimenting, practicing, and really got good at rolling. And so I smoked weeds, discovered pills at an early age, all kinds of amphetamines and LSD and Quaaludes. I didn't know till later on in life what I was basically doing, trying to fill up a hole that was empty inside me. At the age of 9, me and my sisters, we found my mom laying on the floor. She got shot in the head. But she lived, and the person that she was seeing at that time disappeared, so that gave me a good lifelong resentment against that individual. And so I carried that with me. I ran away from home at 14. I've joined a carnival and got to drink and use as much as I want to out there on the road. There was no supervision. And I did that until I was 18, and my friend said, hey, let's go to California, because I'm originally from Steubenville, Ohio. And so we came to California with everything I owned at the age of 18, which was in a duffel bag. We kept driving. I ended up in Linwood, California. They don't show pictures of Linwood on TV. But I was in my full-blown addiction. I found the nearest park. I found people in the park that sold anything, and I bought anything. Well, actually, yeah, I bought it because I was homeless, and I didn't have any job skills. I quit school in the 8th grade. And I started smoking PCP, doing cocaine, just anything. And I'm out there in the streets hustling. And that lasted for a short period of time. Then I finally got a job at a fast food restaurant. Then I graduated from flipping hamburgers and frying tacos to running a cash register. And I'm a liar, cheat, and a thief. And you put me in front of a cash register, I'm stealing money out. And so I was doing that, and the heat got on, and I felt it. So I got transferred from that specific fast food, because it was a chain restaurant, to another one in Costa Mesa. And so I'm working at this fast food place in Costa Mesa, doing coke, drinking all the time. And the manager of the restaurant happened to like cocaine as much as I did, but he wouldn't go to places to get it like I did. And so he allowed me to be his roommate. He promoted me at the restaurant. I was the shift lead. I was in charge of all the registers. And so I get a bright idea that I'm going to sell drugs out the drive-through of this fast food restaurant. And it was all was well for a while, until one day at home, we were getting high, and he went to the restroom, and I did his drugs. And so he gave me the boot, fired me from the restaurant. And but I've already established my business there. There's a corner in California, Harbor and Wilson, and it's really fascinating, because when you're in your addiction, you really don't go anywhere. And so I'm at Harbor and Wilson, I'm selling drugs, and that's when I first got arrested. And I got sent to the county jail, did 6 months, got out, went back to Harbor and Wilson, and started selling drugs again. Then this time I got arrested. I ended up going to, I think, Donovan Prison. I spent 8 months in prison, got out, went back to Harbor and Wilson. I got busted again. And then I got sent to Delano State Prison. I got out of Delano. And before I got out of prison, I knew something was wrong. And so I'm thinking, well, the problem is I'm not hiding my drugs good enough. And so I decide I'm going to put the drugs in my little coin pocket in my jeans, and I get out and I go back to Harbor and Wilson. And I got busted, and they sent me back to prison. And I'm sitting in prison going, well, there's a problem. And the problem was that I wasn't getting good at hiding my drugs. So I decided that I'm going to keep them in my hand. And when the police come, I'm going to throw them. So I got out and went back to Harbor and Wilson. And I got arrested again because I got so high, I forgot the drugs was in my hand. And so when I got out, I didn't go back to Harbor and Wilson. I went 1 block south to Harbor and Victoria, and I got arrested again. And this time, the police officer that continued to arrest me asked me if I wanted some help. And I was just, at that time, sick and tired of being tired and sick. You know, I at that time have been homeless for 22 years, homeless. And the police officer asked me if I wanted some help, and I told him yes. And so he arrested me again, but instead of me going to prison, he had a friend that worked in a treatment center, and they were going to send me to this treatment center. When I got released from jail, I thought, okay, I'm going to walk there and pick up on the way there. But I didn't know that when they pick you up from a treatment center, somebody comes directly to get you. And when this lady came and got me, she took me to this treatment center and said, do me a favor, if you're going to leave, don't jump over the fence, just walk out the gate. And I'm like, you trust me? And she goes, yeah, why not? And I've never heard that in all the years from the age of 14 until I was 36 or 37. I've never heard that. I didn't have any social skills. I didn't trust people. But then it's like, you know what? Maybe I should just do what they're doing. And so I start doing that. And I'm in this treatment center, all is well. I'm starting to learn new things. They made me go get a job. And then I went to my first meeting, and I'm so grateful it was that place, because those guys was rough around the edges. I remember it was March 28th, and I just couldn't deal with it no more. But I did that Hail Mary prayer, and I got arrested March 29th, 1999, and I haven't had a drink or a drug since then. Now, my life today is something I've never, ever could have imagined. At that point, I felt that my thing in life now is, number one, don't ever hurt anybody. Number two, finish what you start. And that's the orders I was given, you know, and don't hate. I started school in 2001. I went to school alcoholically. I stopped in 2015, and I ended up with more initials behind my name than I have in my name. You know, I am a licensed psychiatric technician. I have an associate's degree in science. I'm a registered nurse. I have an associate in science degree in nursing. I have a bachelor of science degree in nursing. I'm a public health nurse. And God knows how many certificates I have. Because my life was so insane, God thought it'd be fit. So he gave me a job working as a director of nursing in a psychiatric hospital. And I did that for the past 7 years until October 1st of this year. And that's been my adventure. I haven't been homeless in a long time. Me and Bank of America own this house. I have another house in Ohio. And so I bought a 9,000 square foot 1916 mansion. And I'm going to give it to the homeless people.
I love that.
Yeah, and that's called Brown Manor, and we're working on that right now. There's so many gifts that I have got from being sober. It's remarkable. I'm working on another book, actually, and I'm back in school again because obviously I didn't get enough education. I'm alcoholic. I'm addicted to education now. And
Yes.
so I'm studying to be a nurse practitioner to get my master's license. In March of this coming year, I'll be sober 23 years. The life that I have now, I couldn't come up with in my wildest fantasy when I was using.
You said in the beginning what surprised you was that people actually cared, and you were like, whoa, and that they didn't want anything. You know, would you say that's what surprised you most, or what did surprise you most?
As I grow through recovery has many layers to me right now. And in the beginning, it surprised me that people actually want to help. That whole give it away to keep it thing.
What's your favorite practice today supporting your recovery?
Meetings.
Yeah.
I love meetings. There's so much in meetings, and there's no such thing as a bad meeting.
If you had one thing to tell someone in early recovery, what would it be? Like, if they were even considering recovery, what would it be?
Miracles do happen, and don't quit before the miracle happens.
The way that McAuley supported me was like as a whole human and as a mother. Like that piece for me was
life-changing, life-changing.
As some sisters really kind of studied it, we began to realize there's a lot more of this than we realized, and it is impacting the families that we're dealing with in school and elsewhere, and we just hadn't noticed it. So a very small group of sisters kept pressing, we've got to do something. March 25th, 1988, the program opened officially.
McAuley Residence is a two-generational program that also has housing. One of the things the two-generational program brings forth is targeted supports for both mother and child, and the population that we're committed to are those who are affected by substance use disorder. The beauty of McAuley is we create an external treatment team that also includes parent education and resources from Opportunity Alliance in Portland and Penquist in Bangor, and they remain connected to those resources after they leave us.
It's a mindful process. So the phases are designed to teach life skills. So, other programs end in 28 days, but you have 2 years to work on it. So the first phase is designed for the recovery. It's designed to set up all those supports, therapy in place, play therapy for your children, case management if it's needed. The second phase is to go back to work or school, so it's setting you up for that independence. The third phase is setting you up to launch, to be out in the community, not in the safety of McAuley.
We helped to think about ways for this to work best for the residents and came up with a strategy together about having this be inclusive housing, so that rather than a program that is off on its own, this really allows women in recovery to get to challenge themselves with real life situations right in their community, right in their building. And I think that is the secret to the whole building, is that it's a really nice place to live. Anyone would feel proud to have that be their home.
We were able to secure funding to launch a second location in Bangor, which began in March of 2020. So just as COVID hit, but we are really thrilled at the outcomes there.
Just seeing those little light bulbs go on of really understanding what reflection and critical thinking is, and watching them discover ways in which they're successful is just, it's amazing to witness. I help the women with exploring post-secondary opportunities. I help them when they're looking for jobs, some coaching around doing an online job search, resume writing, interview tips, how they can use their recovery as an asset.
The women are like, I can't go to a parent-teacher conference. I have too much shame. The parent coach is making the first call, and then the second call gets a little bit easier, and then we're sitting side by side the mother, and then she makes the call. And then the third call, she'll come downstairs and be like, I did it by myself. I connected with the school. So I've got my power back.
When you think about a coach, the way we think about it with sports, right? It's a person that cheers you on, that holds you accountable, that provides new information, shows you new skills, helps you practice them. And that's what the parent coaching model is about. It's the same, taking that concept and moving it into parenting and family cohesiveness.
There's the common ground. All the women come together and they're craving that community. They want that support from their other sisters. We do out-ins. We come together, we go out in the community, we practice parenting skills out in the community. So things we learn in class, it's like, let's go out in the community and practice this together.
There's a woman there, she's graduated since then, but I think she has 3 kids, and she was in a bad mood one day, and one of the kids said, Mama, let's breathe. And the child started to do the breathing exercise that we do, and the mother had taught the child. So the child could actually remind the mother, it's time to take care of ourselves in a different way. There's so many tools in yoga. So many tools, I think, in every class I teach, there's probably a different tool for a different mood.
Every time it felt like there was a really big wall to hurdle, I had someone right there that would say, that's okay, we're gonna figure it out. Not just the times when I was most vulnerable, but the times that I really didn't know what to do. I seriously had no idea what to do. And just a little bit of guidance and a lot of support helped me figure out, what are my next 5 steps? What are my next 5 steps? When I got a job and I started saving money.
I don't think I would have had the been able to build back the bonds with my children in the way that I did if I had had to, you know, not be able to be their mom for 3 years.
What you often hear from women is this is the first time in their lives they've felt safe. Without the commitment from, you know, philanthropy and community, we're not able to provide that safety.
A donation to McAuley is helping fund a new beginning for the women and their families. It's really going to break the barriers to access resources that they typically don't have access to.
The women want to be there. These women have chosen to be at McAuley. No one's making them go there. The courts aren't saying you need to go. There's an intrinsic motivation to get better. And to give to McAuley is to honor that intrinsic motivation, to honor that sense of survival in a mother who wants to be there for her children and who knows deep down underneath all of that pain and trauma that she deserves better. And what a more worthy cause than that.
McAuley Residence relies on private fundraising to meet its $500,000 annual operating budget. We must raise $10 million for an endowment to sustain and permanently support this life-changing program. We hope you will join us to help build a healthy community of hope and healing for women and children. Please visit northernlighthealth.org/McAuley or call 207-272-6983. Thank you for your consideration of support.